The Victim is a Hong Kong action comedy directed by Sammo Hung, which was released on February 28, 1980. The film, starring Sammo Hung and Bryan Leung Yen, is also known as Kung Fu Lightning. It was released in the United States in June 1982. Although Yuan Biao only had a very small role in The Victim, his training at the Peking Opera School allowed him to play a key role in the making of the film. He was one of 4 action choreographers and also voiced several martial arts and stunt stars. Carl Maka, Sammo Hung's frequent co-star in films such as Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon, and Odd Couple, uncharacteristically played a deadpan Shaolin abbot. Bryan Leung, known for his intense acting style, found this film particularly challenging. He has mentioned on several occasions the exhaustion he felt during the filming of the final fight scene, much of which was not dubbed. Chun Yao was adopted as a child by a rich and humble man on a rainy night. This man already had a young, mischievous son, so the house was full of drama. Chun Yao grew up to become a kung fu master, but is now on the run with his newly married wife Yu Yi from his adoptive brother Cho Wing, who is madly in love with his sister-in-law. Jealous Cho Wing blames Chun Yao for losing an eye, and now sporting a very fashionable jade eye patch. Determined to hunt down Chun Yao and his wife, Cho Wing forces them to live as if they were in an action movie, always on the run from the gang leader. One day, Fatty sees Chun Yao helping an old man from being crushed by a cart. Fatty challenges Chun Yao, but ends up being defeated. Chun Yao, more concerned with his domestic problems than being someone's teacher, wants nothing to do with Fatty. But Fatty, who has promised his ancestors to learn Kung Fu from the man who defeats him, does not give up. Meanwhile, Chun Yao and his wife try to lay low, but Fatty can't help but wonder why a great martial artist lives in so much fear. Chun Yao's life is a real Kung Fu soap opera. With his stepfather about to die, Chun Yao and his wife decide to pay him one last visit. Upon entering the room, Chun Yao finds himself surrounded by Cho Wing's henchmen. They allow him to talk to his dying stepfather. Cho Wing, pretending to be in mourning, waits for Chun Yao to leave the room before ordering his men to attack him. But just in time, Fatty shows up, like an overweight superhero, to help Chun Yao. Chun Yao's wife, fed up with all the drama, begs Cho Wing to stop the violence and promises to leave Chun Yao to live with him. Afterwards, she tells her husband that she is tired of living like in a soap opera and that she will stay with Cho Wing. Chun Yao, devastated, leaves with Fatty, his faithful companion. But Yu Yi has no intention of living with her stalker. After Cho Wing cancels the bounty on Chun Yao's head, Yu Yi commits suicide so she doesn't have to put up with Cho Wing. Chun Yao, in an act worthy of a horror movie, steals his wife's body and buries her peacefully. Determined to honor his wife's memory, Chun Yao begins training Fatty in the Iron Cross style of Kung Fu. During a training session, Fatty sees a gang member spying on them and, in an unexpected turn, stabs Chun Yao, revealing that he was also a victim. Fatty collects the reward for Chun Yao and frees his mother, but in the process, they are both stabbed by the gang members. With his final words, Fatty asks Chun Yao to avenge their deaths. In the final battle, Chun Yao faces off against a Southern Eagle Claw expert and, after an epic fight, defeats the gang members and Cho Wing, who ends up pinned against a column. Chun Yao, now a free man, pays homage to the graves of his wife and his student. While there, a beggar who looks a lot like Fatty appears and asks about the deceased.
Your family.
Turning around, Chun Yao realizes who it is and runs after him, leaving open the possibility of an even crazier sequel. I must thank our friends at City on Fire for this review. In the description of the video I leave you a link to their website. According to the audio commentary by Rick Myers and Bobby Samuels on the DVD, The Victim is the first film directed by Sammo Hung, although it was released 3 or 4 years later. I'm not sure of the veracity of this statement, as popular belief is that his first film was Iron-Fisted Monk. Plus, it's one of the first old-school movies I've seen with a non-linear narrative, using lots of flashbacks and creative editing to move back and forth in time. In any case, it is a prime example of old-school Kung Fu theater at its finest. Sammo plays a clumsy, rugged, and ultimately dangerous martial artist searching for a master. He travels the countryside in search of someone who can defeat him in a fair fight and thus become his master. After facing and defeating several opponents, Sammo witnesses Leung Ka-yen rescue a blind man with great skill and strength. Impressed, Sammo decides to test Leung. This begins a series of fights between the burly Sammo and the agile and athletic Leung, in which Sammo always ends up covered in bruises. Leung proves to be a worthy teacher, although he has his own problems and is not interested in teaching Sammo, despite his insistence. Leung Ka-yen has no formal training in martial arts, which makes his performance in this film even more impressive. In a film full of almost endless combat, Leung performs very complex sequences with weapons and numerous movements, with very few editing cuts. Watch this movie and challenge Steven Seagal or Van Damme to do the same. They won't even reach their heels. Leung turns out to be his teacher's stepson, who also has another son. Both young people were his students. Chang-yi, the stepbrother, is a troublemaker. It seems he tried to rape Leung's girlfriend, Fei Wong, on their wedding night. With his eye patch and hot temper, Chang-yi can best be described as the devil's badass Nazi son. He's an excellent villain, similar to Yuan Wang. Apparently, he's got the skills to back it up, too. Now for something that might put off many Sammo Hung fans, the story eventually deviates and focuses on Leung's family dilemma, making Sammo a supporting character. To me, that's fine because Leung and his wife's problems are, frankly, more interesting. The Kung Fu scenes in The Victim are really impressive. Each fight has its own rhythm and distinctive character. The battles range from the most comical to the most serious and bloody. Special thanks to Kung Fu coordinators Lam Ching and Yuan Biao. It's a real pleasure to watch the action and recognize the moments when these two future great actors dub others during fights. Critic moment: the plot, like many films of its time, is affected by an improvised cinematographic style. It is evident that on several occasions during filming, the crew had to pause to decide what would happen next. With much of the story told through flashbacks and the use of unconventional techniques for the time, the end result is somewhat of a mess. Sammo may have taken on more than he could handle in this regard. But hey, do what I do, don't think about it too much. Enjoy the chaos and dilemmas of these fascinating characters. My score is 9 out of 10. I would like to know what score you would give it. You can also leave your own review here. I will read you in the comments.